Welcome back. In this new video, I'm going to be sharing a new quite interesting topic. It's about, you know, our epidemic loneliness and isolation. And I want to share a research, a study that has been conducted in the United States in 2022 by the United States Surgeon General Advisory about, the healing effect that are required of a social connection and community. And this is the story I want to share with you today. First of all, I want to clarify what is the United States Surgeon General. The United States Surgeon General is the chief medical doctor and health educator for the United States. And his mission is to give the public the best scientific information available on how to improve health and lower the risk of illness and injury. So, the first question is, why social connection matters? We know that our relationship and interaction with the family, friends, colleagues, neighbors are just some of what create social connection. Our connection with others and our community is also informed by our neighborhood, digital environment, school, and workplaces. So, social connection, the structure, function, and quality of our relationship with others, is a critical contributor to individual and population health, community safety, resilience, and prosperity. However, far too many Americans lack social connection, in one of the more ways compromising this benefit and leading to poor health and other negative outcomes. People may lack social connection in a variety of ways, though it's often illustrated in scientific research by measuring loneliness and social isolation. They are related, but they are not the same. Social isolation is objectively having few social relationships, social roles, belongs to group membership and infrequent social interaction. On the other hand, loneliness is an emotional state that arises from not having the desired sufficient, meaningful connection with others, those people who could rely on in time of need. Loneliness is not related to how many friends or relationships you may have, or whether you are alone or amongst the people. The lack of a social connection poses significant risk for individual health and longevity. Loneliness and social isolation increase the risk for premature death, which is as much as, smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. So, poor or insufficient social connection is associated with increased risk of many kinds of disease, including risk of heart disease, stroke, anxiety, depression, and dementia. It may also increase susceptibility to viruses and respiratory illness and have significant economic and cost to individuals, but also communities and the entire society. Social isolation among older adults alone account more Medicare spending annually, largely due to increased hospital and nursing facility spending. Loneliness and isolation are associated with lower academic achievement and also worse performance at work. The impact of social connection not only affects individuals but also the community they live in. So, social connection is a very important social determinant of health, community well being, population health, community resilience when natural hazard strike, and community safety, economic prosperity. So, the main question is what drives these profound health and well being outcomes? Social connection is a fundamental human need, and we can say that is so essential to survival as food, as water, as shelter. Throughout history, the ability to rely on one another has been crucial to survival. Now, even in modern times, we human beings are biologically wired for social connection. In other words, our brains have adapted to expect proximity to others. Our distant ancestors relied on others to help them meet their basic needs. Living in isolation means that you have to fulfill the many difficult, the ordinary difficult that you have to face of survival on one's own. And this requires more effort and reduces one's chances of survival. So, despite current advancement that allow us to live without engaging with others, example, we have a food delivery, automation, remote entertainment, our biological need to connect remains. The health and societal impact of social isolation and loneliness are a critical public health concern. So we know that there are millions of Americans lack adequate social connection in one or more ways. A 2022 study found that when people were asked how close they felt to others emotionally, only 39% of adults in the United States said that they felt very connected to others. An important indicator of this decline in social connection is an increase in the proportion of Americans experiencing loneliness. Recent surveys have found that approximately half of the United States adults report experiencing loneliness, with some of the highest rates among young adults. Multiple other studies indicate that loneliness and isolation are more widespread than many of the other major health issues of our day, including smoking, diabetes, and obesity. So, despite such high prevalence, less than 20% of individuals who often or always feel lonely or isolated recognize it as a major problem. Every level of increase in social connection corresponds with a risk reduction across many health conditions. So, social connection can be a proactive approach to living a fulfilled and happy life, enhancing life satisfaction, education, attainment, and performance in the workplace, as well as contributing to more connected communities that are healthier, safer, and more prosperous. Social connection is generally not something we can do alone, and not something that is accessible equitably. That is partially because we need others to connect with, but also because our society, including our schools, workplace, neighborhood, public policies, and digital environments plays a role in either facilitating or hindering social connection. It is critical to carefully consider equity in any approach to addressing social connection, as access and barriers to social opportunity are often not the same for everyone, and often reinforce long-standing and historical inequities. So this advisory calls attention to the critical role that social connection plays in individual and societal health and well-being, and offers something like a kind of framework for how we can all contribute to advancing social connection. And at this precise moment may arise the fundamental question: what is social connection? What social connection is really is? Social connection can encompass the interaction, relationships, roles, and sense of connection individuals, communities, or society may experience. An individual's level of social connection is not simply determined by the number of close relationships they have. There are many ways we can connect socially, and many ways we can lack social connection. So, there are three vital components of a social connection. And this is very interesting to discover, that there are three dimensions or vital components. The first one is structure, is the number of relationship, variety of relationship. For instance, co-worker, friend, family, neighbor, in any case, classmates, and the frequency of interaction with others. The second component is function. Function is the degree to which others can be relied upon for various needs. And the last one is quality, the degree to which relationship and interaction with others are positive, helpful, or satisfying. Negative, unhelpful, or unsatisfied. And these three vital components of a social connection are each important for health and may influence health in different ways. So just to give some example, the three vital components of a social connection, as we have, just seen, is structure, function, and quality. Just to give some example, when we talk about the structure, we are talking about the number and the variety of relationship and frequency of interaction. For example, the household size, friend and circle size, and marital and partnership status. About the function, we can say that function is the degree to which a relationship serve various needs. Example, we can say that, here we talk about emotional support, mentorship, and support in a situation of a crisis. Talking about quality, we say that we have said that is the positive and negative aspect of a relationship and interaction. And we are talking about relationship satisfaction, relations strain, and social inclusion or exclusion. So we can say that it's also critical to understand other defining feature of the social connection. First, it's a continuum. When we say continuum, we mean that something that change in character gradually or in a very slight stages without any clear dividing point. In other words, we can say that too often indicators of a social connection or social disconnection are considered in dichotomous ways. Someone is lonely or they are not. Everyone falls somewhere on the continuum of a social connection, with low social connection generally associated with the poor outcomes and the higher social connection with the better outcomes. Second, social connection is a dynamic process. The amount of quality and social connection in our lives is not static. Social connectedness changes over time and can be improved or compromised for a myriad of reasons. For instance, illness, moves, job transition, and countless other life events, as well as changes in one community and society, can also impact social connectedness in one direction or another. Further, how long we remain in one end of the continuum may matter. Transient feeling on loneliness may be less problematic or even adaptive because the distressing feeling motivates us to reconnect socially or to try to do so. Similarly, temporary experiences of solitude may help us to manage social demands. However, chronic loneliness and isolation represent a significant health concern. And the last one, much like the absence of disease does not equate to good health, and the absence of social deficit, example loneliness, does not necessarily equate to high level of social connection. So, what is the current trend? Is we have to to focus on, is social connection declining? Across many major Americans appear to be becoming less socially connected over time, and this is not a new problem. Certain declines have been occurring for decades. So, trust in each other and the major institution is at a near historical low. Polls conducted in 1972 showed that roughly 45% of the Americans felt they could reliably trust other Americans. However, that proportion shrank to roughly 30% in 2016. And I think the situation is, for sure get worse in this situation, these circumstances, the United States are experiencing this day. These phenomena combine to have widespread effects on society, including many of the most pressing issues we face as a nation. Trends in social networks and social participation. Levels of social participation are declining distinct from whether individuals report that they are lonely. And this represents an increase of 24 hours per month spent alone. So the situation is getting worse. At the same time, social participant across several types of relationship has steadily declined. For instance, the amount of time respondents engage with friends socially in person decreased from 2003 to 2020. For younger people ages to 15 to 24, spent in person with friends has reduced. Time spent in person with friends has reduced by nearly 70% over almost 2 decades from 2003 to 2020. And the situation, given the COVID-19 pandemic, accelerated the trends in declining social participation. The number of close friendships has also declined over several decades. Demographic trends, societal trends including demographic changes such as age, marital partnership status, and household size also provide clues to current trends. Family size and marriage rates have been instead in decline for decades. The percentage of Americans living alone has also increased decade to decade. The reason people choose to remain single or unmarried, have smaller families, and live alone over time are complex and encompass many factors. At the same time, it is important to acknowledge that contribution to demographic changes have on social disconnection because of a significant health impact identified in the scientific evidence. Moreover, awareness can help individuals consider this impact and cultivate ways to foster sufficient connection, social connection outside of choosing traditional means and structure. And the research in this section points to over a decline in some of the critical structural elements of social connection, marital status, household size, which help to explain increases in reported loneliness and social isolation and contribute to the overall crisis of a connection we are experiencing. The number of older individuals and those living with a chronic condition continues to increase. Although the concept of a community has evolved over time, many traditional indicators of a community involvement, including with religious groups, clubs, and labor unions, show declining trend in the United States since at least the 1970s. In 2018, only 16% of the Americans reported that they felt very attached to their local community. Membership in organizations that have been important pillars of a community connection have declined significantly in this time. Take faith organization, for example. Research conducted by Gallup, Pew Research Center, and so many others demonstrate that since the 1970s, religious preference, affiliation, and participation among United States adults have declined. In 2020, only 47% of Americans said they belonged to a church, a synagogue, or mosque. Religious or faith-based group can be a source for regular social contact, serve as a community of support, provide meaning and purpose, create a sense of belonging around shared value and belief, and are associated with reduced risk-taking behaviors. What leads us to be more or less social connected? There are a wide variety of factors can influence an individual or a community's level of social connection. Interrelated factors affect health of the individual level, on the individual level, in our relationship, in our community, and in society. Each of these levels, from the smallest to the broadest, contribute to social connection and its associated risk and the protection for health. So there are so many factors that can shape social connection. At the individual level, it may be, chronic disease, sensory and functional impairment, mental health, physical health, personality, race, gender. About a relationship, we can talk about structure, function, and quality, household size, characteristic, and behavior of others, and also empathy. When we talk about a community, we can say that there is a problem about outdoor space, housing, social schools, workplace, local government, community organization, healthcare, transportation, and lastly, talking about a society, which is one of the factors that can shape social connection, we can say it depends on norms and values, public policies, civic engagement, democratic norms, historical inequity. And that's all for this presentation, these topics that I want to share with you. I do hope you find it interesting, and I have to apologize because probably it's a bit long. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.